Devo. Jai Harinanda Ji ki jai.
Dandavad Maharaj, Dandavad Prabhu, Dandavad Devotee. Jai Gurudev.
Bhagavati Didi, Priya Darshini Didi, Priya Dhamma Didi, Haribo. Jai Bhagavati Didi, Hare Krishna, Haribo. Dhanyavad. Dr. Ross Prabhu, Haribo, Dhanyavad. And who is this?
Sri Rangapuri.
Oh, Sri Rangapuri. Oh, Haribo.
Haribo. Dandavad Maharaj.
Bhakti Dishkam Santa Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Dandavad Maharaj.
And my Dhanyavad, humble Dhanyavad. I your Lord, Maharaj.
Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Where are you joining us from, Rangapuri Prabhu? Where are
Muted.
you? Where?
He's muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Prabhu, you're muted. Rangapur, Prabhu, you're on mute.
Your sound is turned down. Your volume is turned off. No, we can't hear you yet. Hare Krishna. Dr. Ross Prabhu, where are you? Still in New Jersey? Or are you back in Florida?
I'm in New Jersey, traveling.
Will we have a chance to see you this time around?
I think right now I'm quite busy just serving him, so I can't just abandon my service right now.
Okay.
I'm over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can't steal you away, huh?
Maybe later.
Later, okay. We have hope yet. We can be successful thieves. Krishna is called Hara. You know, Hara means a thief. Rangapuri, can you talk yet? Can we hear you yet? No. Okay.
I think, Maharaj, you can hear me now.
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Very well. Well, Dandavats, Maharaj, and Dandavats to all of you. I'm here in Berkeley.
Oh, okay.
Actually, at the next door to Bhaktivedanta Institute here in Berkeley.
Oh, I see.
But the office is closed at this time.
Okay.
So I'm in the temple room.
Oh, yes, it looks like it. Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for joining us.
Dandavats, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
You know Shanta Maharaj?
I think I'm trying to recognize him, but probably not.
Okay. He's in India.
Dandavats, Maharaj. Oh, nice.
All right.
And I see some devotees, maybe Harinamananda, they speak Spanish, looks like.
Yes, you know him?
The accent, no, the accent is like.
Oh, the accent, yes. He's in Spain, living in Spain.
Oh, very nice.
In his family.
Very good.
Okay. All right. We'll begin our Maharaj, is it okay? We can begin our regular program? Or do you want to add something special?
No, Maharaj.
Okay. Dhanyavad Muni Maharaj.
Dandavad Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavad Maharaj.
Dandavad. Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
We will chant Vandana. We can chant together. Vandeham Shri Guru
Raghunatham Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Padan Sahalalita Vitamscha Janativirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Jaina Sri Gurave Namaha
Puja Shri Guru
Bhagavandita
Bhagavandita
Bhagavanaita Sada Pariya Parampara Pacharita Vachamrita Atite Bhakti Nirmalasya Nirmam Samrakritam Sadaram Vande Sri Gurudeva Datasira Acharya Vacham Nijam
Orvabhishta
Urvadishta Suparakam Udanirasya Samhusitam Chinta Samasta Vyanipunam Shrirupa Pandhanagam Sundaram
Devam Divyat Namo Vinda Sundar
Shri
Bhad,
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Shri Govinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Ram,
Rama.
Ram Hare
Hi, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Bhakti Niskam Santa Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Vigyan Muni Maharaj ki jai.
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 Srila Bhakti
Gita
Maharaj
Govardhan
ki
ki
jai.
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 Samaveda Bhakti Vinda ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai. All glories to all the worldwide devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Lord Premanandi, Hari, Hari, Hari.
Hare Hare.
Hari.
Om.
We are studying the Prapanna-jivanamrtam. Jai Umadevi ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai Dandavad Didi.
We're studying the Sri Prapanna-jivanamrtam, Sri Bhakti Rakshak, Sri Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki jai. And on text 29, 31. Read. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivraj, Acharya, Asatana Sata Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak, Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Sri Sri Prapanna-jivanamrtam ki jai. This is the book that Sridhar Maharaj compiled from the various scriptures and sources on the subject of Sharanagati, sacred scriptures and sources on Sharanagati. When Sridhar Maharaj left the Gaudiya Mutt and was on his own, more or less, after the disappearance of Saraswati Thakur, there were some controversies going on in the mutt, and Sridhar Maharaj felt he didn't want to be part of that. He didn't come for that type of situation, and so he left the mutt. And at the same time, Prabhupada also felt the same. Srila Prabhupada is in Bhaktivedanta, and they kind of left together. Anyhow, when Sridhar Maharaj, after much time, was considering the situation on his own, he was thinking, what is that central thing that we must essentially bring with us in our life, no matter what the situation? And he decided, on the basis of the writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Mahaprabhu's teachings and his own vast knowledge of the scripture, he decided that thing was Sharanagati. Sharanagati is the basis of the whole thing, and that had to be preserved under all circumstances. So that's that he began compiling this book, Prapanna-jivanamrtam. Prapanna-jivanamrtam. Prapanna means the surrendered, Jiva, the living entity, the surrendered Jiva, and Amrita means the nectar. So the nectar of the surrendered living entity, surrendered soul. That's the Bhagavad, the Prapanna-jivanamrtam, and is meant to inspire that central concept of Sharanagati in any soul who may find himself in a situation similar to his, or in any organization whatsoever, whether one is in a spiritual organization or not. The main point is surrender, Sharanagati. If that is not practiced or followed, then there's no spiritual life, really speaking. Spiritual life begins, the door, you could say, to the spiritual world is Sharanagati. One must enter the door of surrender. He must come naked and empty-handed, as they say, like you're on board, naked and empty-handed, without any baggage, without any conditioning. and enter to that door, approach that door, and give up all your material affiliations, material attachments, prejudices, whatever you may have that is still holding you back in material life, some type of exploitive tendency that must be given up at the door of surrender before we can enter the plane of spiritual life. Spiritual life is the plane of pure devotion. Pure means not tinged with any other non-devotional tendencies, self-interest or whatever. It's interesting in this regard. I read recently something by Srila Bhakti Yoga, which was so nice. I thought I would tell you about this. Bhakti Yoga said all objects have two characteristics. One characteristic is the form, and the other characteristic is the function, form and function. He called form the swarup, and in Sanskrit, form means swarup. And function, he chose the Sanskrit term pravritti. Pravritti also can have the meaning of function. So this swarup and pravritti are the characteristics of every object. Your hand has the form of a particular form that it can grasp things, and its function is to hold. So it has a form suitable for that function. But the soul, what is the form and function of the soul? And interestingly, Bhakti Yoga said the form of the soul is consciousness, and the function of the soul is to love and be loved. To love and be loved. This is the function of the soul. Now, it's very helpful to understand things in that way, because we can see the soul who was entangled in the material world, the world of externality. He is engaged always in trying to love, let's say, fruit of activity. He loves his career. He loves his job. He loves so many external pursuits, or so many pursuits. He has to give his whole heart, his dedication to those pursuits in order to express his love in that way. And then how about receiving love? Well, in the external world, we receive love through what we call fame and honor, prestige, recognition, power, wealth, beauty, strength. These things all give us a chance to get something from others, recognition, some kind of what do you call attention, the mind, capture the mind of others by all of these things. So in this way, in the material world, this function of the soul is used in that way, in an external, very external way. It loves by engaging in karma, fruit of activities, and by engaging in gyan, search for knowledge, endless search for knowledge is never satisfied. And in receiving love, he tries to get that in an external way also, satisfy that in an external way through his desire for honor and fame and admiration and so forth. That's the external world. But that's not the real function. That's not the real purpose of the soul. The soul, as as loving and being loved, has its real identity associated with the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and his devotees. Their love is very pure because the surrendered souls, they have no self-motive anymore. To enter that plane of Sharanagati and the spiritual world, one must give up all self-centered and enviousness and seeking honor, pride, whatever, some results for oneself. That is all given up. So the devotees are on that platform are very pure, and their love is also very pure. We cannot find that kind of love in the material world, because it is all perverted, is all reflected into this exploitive mode. And the spiritual world is all pure dedication. Therefore, that love there is something very different than here. So the function of the soul, to love and be loved. Sometimes it's not stressed enough, I think, that to be loved is also a very important part of spiritual life. But that love that is exchanged between devotee and the Lord, or the devotees and other devotees, that is not something ordinary. And even sometimes we see there is hostility by the materialistic or personalistic persons toward that type of idea even. They don't want to hear of it. That seems something sentimental to them or whatever. Or very easily contaminated. That is not the proper idea. To understand the purity of spiritual love and the essentiality of it for the whole process of understanding not only the spiritual world properly, but also this material world, how it operates in both ways. This way is a very central idea. And I thought, I read that Bhakti Yoga had presented it so nicely, presented this idea so nicely, that I had never seen so clearly when I read that. Anyhow, that was what I wanted to tell today. So back to the Prapanna-jivanamrtam, text 29. Sri Krishna Swarupam Eva Paramashraya Padam Dasame Dasamam Lakshyam Asritastraya Vigraham Sri Krishna Kyam Param Dhamma Jagaddaman Mamami Tat. From the, what is this? Bhavavrita Deepika, or Bhagavatam, 10 Canto, Chapter 1, Text 1, or Bhavartha Deepika,
The
a
commentary.
commentary, yeah. Then, as the epitome of divine ecstasy, rasa, the Supreme Lord's original form, Krishna, is the highest figure. So in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna has been distinguished as the embodiment of shelter for the surrendered souls. I bow down unto that supreme refuge of the universe, who is known as Krishna. So this is what we were explaining actually before also. The shelter of the surrendered souls, We're talking about surrender. This is not ordinary souls, surrendered souls. You have to understand what that means. Surrendered means anyabhilasita sunyam, jnana karma dinaritam, anukulina krishnanu shilanam bhakti-uttama. This is what we were talking about, surrender. It means they have given up all karma, gyan, other attempts, endeavors, other than devotion or love for Krishna. They've given all that up. All exploitive, self-interested activities and endeavors. They've released all of that. They're released from all of that, and have heartfelt attachments to the Lord and his devotees. That is a surrendered soul. So Krishna is the shelter, the shelter for the love that the soul is seeking. He finds that only in Krishna. That fulfillment will be found there. And he also receives love in that endeavor. It is, Prabhupada used to tell us, Krishna, the word Krishna, It's two words, Krishna. Krishna means to attract, and Anna means to distribute. So Krishna is attracting and distributing. He is attracting joy and he's distributing joy. It's so nice. Krishna just doesn't take something for himself and not give anything back. Just loving Krishna is joyful in itself. His soul gets satisfaction from that. Yeah. Difficult, very difficult to understand in a material sense, but sometimes we can find also devotees find joy in serving the devotees. There they get their real joy. There they get the real satisfaction. And also in this material world, sometimes people who are unhappy, they find that if they take up volunteer work or some type of charitable work, they become freed from the grip of their own unhappiness. So it's possible that just by serving, we can also get some satisfaction from that for ourselves. But a devotee, of course, always acts without that expectation of reward for his activities. Simply serving is enough, but the reward will automatically come. That is the exchange of love in the spiritual plane. Then text 30. Viman Mahaprabho Parashraya Mahatmyam Teyam Sada Paribhava Gridam Abhistadoham Tirthaspadam Shiva Virinci Rutam Saranyam Kshatriham Pranata Pala Bhavabdi Patam Vande Mahapurushrate Taranar Vindam. Bhagavatam 11th canto, 5th chapter, 33rd verse. The matchless, unsurpassable gift of surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden avatar, who enacts his pastimes as a great devotee. O guardian of the surrendered, O great personality, the supreme personality of God in himself, who enacts his divine pastimes as a pure devotee or Mahabhagavata. You alone are the reality to be constantly meditated upon by the pure souls. You are the destroyer of the soul's illusion. You are the divine wish fulfilling tree, the refuge of all devotees. Worshipable by Shiva and Virinci Sadashiva in the form of Sri Caitanyadeva and Brahma in the form of Haridas Thakur, you are the shelter of all and everything. And you are the dispeller of your devotee suffering, which originates in offenses to the holy name, Namaparad. You are the only boat for crossing the ocean of this material world of suffering. I do worship your holy lotus feet. Excuse me. We study the Bhagavad Gita, even just read it without studying deeply into it. There's one thing that should strike us, should strike everyone who reads that book, and that is how immodestly, you can say, how immodestly Krishna is begging his devotees to love him. Manmana bhava bhaktya. He's telling Arjuna, fix your mind upon me. Sarvasya Sarvadhamam parityaja mam ekam sharanavaja. Give up everything else except only me, accept only me as your shelter. to surrender to me. And always emphasizing this point throughout the Gita. Ham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything. Vedaisya sarvara aham eva Veda. All the Vedas are meant to know me. In so many ways, Krishna is telling Arjuna that I am the center of your, I am to be the center of your life, of your attention, of your endeavors, whatever you may have. It is me. And nothing else. All other things, that's secondary. That's to be given up. And your whole attention is to be focused on me. And that's what the Bhagavatam also is telling us, as you can see here. You are the reality, my dear Lord. And you are pastime. I like to tell people that, we speak of history. Who are we talking about? His story. And not my story. We don't say my story. It's history. Even though we're involved in so many activities, our life is involved in so many different ways and various things. We speak of history, his story. Who is that his? That is Krishna. Sometimes that is called theogony. That the whole of reality is a story of God. God, spirits sojourn through the world. Spirits sojourn in this world to come back to himself. Sometimes it is spoken like that by the philosophers. But the point is the same in all circumstances, that Krishna is the center. Krishna is the center. So Guru is one who always directs our attention toward Bhagavan. It constantly directs our attention toward Bhagavan. That is Guru. That is authentic Guru. If Guru doesn't do that, then there's no question of Guru. Always directing our attention back to Guru, Bhakti Bhagavan rather. As Krishna himself does. Guru means representative of Krishna. If Krishna is always directing everyone back to himself, then Guru has to do the same thing. He has to direct everyone's attention back to Krishna. I remember once the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, what is preaching? What is preaching? Prabhupada said, Krishna, he told, I think one girl was telling others, one little girl was out on Sankirtana telling others, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Prabhupada said, that is preaching. That is preaching.
Her name is Lakshmi, I think.
I don't know her name. But the point is,
He told very strong about that.
that's preaching. When Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, surrender to me, he doesn't mean something, the Brahman or this, that, or the other thing that the personalists will interpret it as. He means me. Krishna means himself. So if we preach, and we tell people what Krishna says in the Gita, said that is preaching. That is preaching. Don't change things. So, but first we have to understand this simple point, that what is the Gita and the other scriptures teaching about how the central importance of Krishna, the reservoir, the shelter of everyone, is in the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we get that straight, then we can preach. If we don't even have that straight, then we're going to have some difficulty. Leading people on a wild goose chase. You are the shelter of all and everything. And you are the speller of your devotees' suffering, which originates in offenses to the holy name. You are the only boat for crossing the ocean of the material world of suffering. I do worship your holy lotus. Very nice. Huh? Why is there suffering in the world? People ask. If there is God, why is there suffering in the world? Because we have turned from God. Because we don't recognize that God is there. And not that He's not in the world or in suffering. While we're suffering, it's not that He disappears. He's there. We're just turning our attention away from Him. We're running away from Him. We're directing our efforts away from Him. We're causing ourselves to forget Him. Krishna is as near as the thought. Hare Krishna. As soon as we think Krishna, Krishna is there. One thought, all it takes. Hare Krishna. If we're having difficulty in this world, in any way, we can always just remember there's one thought, Hare Krishna. And immediately, we can be relieved of something. Well, sometimes there may be continuing suffering, but that will eventually go away if we can keep our remembrance of the Lord within our heart. Basically, it's because we think we're Krishna conscious. We think we're remembering Krishna, but in fact we're not. That's where suffering comes. Even when we may call ourselves devotees, we think we're Krishna conscious or remembering Krishna, but in fact we may be doing something else, have other motives, have other ambitions. So that would cause some problem. So that's very important when we're chanting the holy name or remembering Krishna or thinking about Krishna. We should not allow that to become contaminated with other things. Krishna is sat-cit-ananda. Sat-cit-ananda. The ones used to say, you're Amritasya Putra. Amritasya Putra means you are sons of nectar. You are sons of nectar. You belong in the nectarian world. You are born to taste nectar. But if you have left that world, if you have left your original identity, your true identity, I should say, then you will have to face so many other difficulties. One more verse. I will ask any comments or questions. Text 31. Sri Caitanya Charana Chideka Rasa Vilasa Labhav. Samsara Sindhu Tarane Rayamyadi Chat Sankirtanamrita Yaste Ramate Manaschet Mahabuddha Viharane Karichu Devitis Chandra Chandra Charane Charanam Prayatu from Chaitanya Charita Chandramita. The souls surrendered unto the lotus feet of Sri Caitanyadeva, bathed in the ocean of divine love. If you have a desire to cross the ocean of material existence, an aspiration to taste the ecstasy of the nectarian congregational chanting of the holy name, Sankirtan, and a longing to sport in the ocean of divine love, then please surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya. Our Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of love. He came as love personified. What does love mean? Radha Krishna. Oh, it says Radha Krishna means love, the exchange of love. And who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is the combination of Radha and love personified. He came to experience love and to teach love and to spread love. The whole mission is based upon that. So if we want to understand what is that divinity, that divine love, and divine love, we have to understand. We can take shelter of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we will get to that. And to taste, enter into that. Not there's any guarantee. No. But this is what Mahaprabhu's mission was. And that is how does that attain? Harinam Sankirtan, just by chanting the holy name. Mahaprabhu taught us. Of course, there's a few other things involved, but basically, for the general population, this is what is told. We can maintain that practice, especially in the Kali Yuga. It's very difficult to practice spiritual life because of so many disturbances. We can see the difficulties that are in this material world. They keep mounting and getting worse and more complex and more numerous. This material world is full of so many complexities, problems. So it's very difficult to practice spiritual life in such a disturbed environment. But Mahaprabhu has given us a very powerful method for overcoming all of that, and a very simple method, by simply chanting the holy name. I promise that we can maintain that practice of chanting, trying to purify our hearts, trying to purify our minds. And in the Kali Yuga, this is a very powerful method of becoming Krishna conscious and regaining that atmosphere, consciousness of the real, of the hearts, of the soul's real satisfaction. To love and be loved. Okay. So does anybody have any comment, question, Maharaj? Santa Maharaj? You'd like to make? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
No.
I had one question, if you don't mind.
Haribol, yes.
Maharaj, beautiful class. Maharaj, my question was, what is the proportion or role of our personal endeavors in bhakti and surrender? Like, how do they work together? And like, how much should we do and how much should we surrender when we're doing bhakti? Okay, I'll repeat. Maharaj, what is the role of our personal endeavors and surrender when it comes to bhakti?
What is our personal role in surrender when it comes to bhakti?
Personal endeavor, like how much do we need to work to become a devotee and how much we should surrender to God to become devotee?
Okay. Now I explained this in the following way. You don't have to do anything actually. Okay. Your eternal nature, by nature, your eternal nature is Jivara Swarupoy, Krishna and Nityadas. That's your identity. Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who am I? K.M.E. Mahaprabhu told this. Jivara Swarupoy, Krishna and Nityadas. Jivara Tatastha Shakti Veda Veda. You are an eternal servant of Krishna. One and different from his Tatastha Shakti, his marginal potency. That is who you are. You can't help of being a servant of Krishna. You can't avoid that. That's what you want. And all the problem is we're forgetting. That's all. We just have to remember that.
Yes, Maharaj.
Remember it. That's all. And
Yes, Maharaj.
live your life in that way, that I am the servant of Krishna. That's what Krishna says I am. That's what I am. And I must be that. That's all.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, just one more thing. If we have shortcomings and we are trying to change, what should our attitude be? Because Maharaj, I get into that guilt mode, because of my shortcomings, but how should I handle it?
How should we handle our shortcomings in that process? The guilt can be overwhelming to some people of shortcomings.
Well, we have, I think, one time I remember Srila Prabhupada was talking about criticizing others. And I suppose that also holds for ourselves. So don't criticize others and don't criticize yourself because some dirty thing is there. He says you can't criticize a man or a woman who is taking a shower. Certainly they're dirty. That's why they're taking a shower. But gradually they'll become. That idea we have. We may have so many faults, so many dirty things in our heart. But we have to have faith that by chanting, by practicing the process of Bhakti Yoga, hearing and so forth, hearing, remembering, praying, offering, service, that by that process we will become pure. We have that faith. This is the main thing I think that every devotee has to have. Faith. Srila Maharaj constantly reminded us of that fact. Faith is the most important element in our spiritual life.
Yes, Maharaj.
We are in an infinite, we're in the plane of infinity. The world, the universe, the things that are happening even in this world are just beyond our comprehension. We don't even know, what's happening around in our neighborhood sometimes, or to speak of the universe. So we're in the midst of infinity. And what can we have to guide us? What can we hold on to? Only our faith.
Yes, Maharaj.
So that must be very strong in this, despite whatever is happening, even if there's, what do you call it, climate disaster, whatever they call it,
Global warming,
crisis,
climate crisis, global warming.
climate crisis. We have to remain steady in our faith that Krishna will take care of everything.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Haribol, thank you for engaging me in some service and making me think of these things myself.
No, Maharaj. Thank you.
And other Maharaj or anyone like to say something?
Maharaj, generally the thought about surrender comes with this idea that we are, just become like a machine and we are being used and we have no other, role to play there. That is the general kind of idea people think. Means the role of individual is there in the surrender that we find, expressed something in Ramanuja, that is Vedkali, as just Sridhara explained, and that is more, what you can say, explicitly found in Mahaprabhu's life. I mean, devotees are telling to Krishna in Braja, like, you have to carry us on your shoulder. So that still they are surrendered to him. So that thing, very difficult to understand the kind of surrender. Sometimes people talk about, like, we are surrendered and Krishna will do everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes, of course, the Krishna is doing everything, but that's minute, whatever, willingness is there to accept, his desire or his wish. So that much we can exercise. That's Srila Sridhar Maharaj told.
That's kind of a passive or shantaras kind of attitude, huh? The Krishna is doing everything. I just have to sit there and be pulled by his strings. Well, yeah, devotee can take active part in their service. Has to be willing to give his whole self, energy, everything, body, mind, and soul, body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. His creativity, his intelligence, whatever he has, how to utilize that to serve for the satisfaction. But it must be done with the heart, the surrendered heart. Yes.
Maharaj, I was also remembering when I was reading the teachings of Mahaprabhu to Rupa and Sanatan in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one thing he says that there is an eternal competition between devotee and Lord. Lord does not, what you can say, think that already I am satisfied with whatever, the mood of devotion I have, at present getting. And devotee also not satisfied that, I am doing proper service. I have not yet done, properly. So in this way, both have not accepted the defeat. So something dynamic is there in that role of, surrender and love, whatever we can say. So that role is never eliminated actually of individual by entering into the path of devotion.
Yes, and that also reminds me that we have to do all these things in relationship to Guru. We have to have our Guru in the center of our lives. And there a real relationship is to be established. A real spiritual relationship is established between the living entity and the divine. Without Guru, it's all in our own mind. Everything that occurs within our mind, we think that is spiritual life. But we have to give up this mind. The mind is not the center of our attention. Who makes their own mind their director, their guru? There's no question of surrender involved there. In order to surrender, there must be another mind besides our own that we're relating to. There we can find surrender. So that is the higher understanding and a proper understanding of spiritual life, of surrender and service to Guru Dev. There we will find the genuine entrance into the spirit.
Whereas once you told it is easy to please Krishna than to Guru, because Guru is never satisfied that I already done, proper thing to already service.
Guru can chastise us. And sometimes Krishna chastises us, but we don't know. We just find ourselves in a suffering condition. But Guru, when we're in suffering condition, we know we've done something wrong. But Guru can tell us, "Don't do like this. Don't do like that," and we can get more benefit from such direction. And simply relying on Krishna to correct us in some way or another, where we have to get into a very difficult situation first before we change our attitude. Either way, very nice. Anything else? Puri, what do you say?
Maharaj, Dandavat.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
I have a curiosity.
Huh?
Since
Curiosity.
Since you have had the fortune of being trained by Prabhupada and by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada was like a commander, like going in front and leading an army. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj was more or less like going deeper into the subjects. So, for example, even this institute, Prabhupada used to be a little canvassing, like going forward in a very, I wouldn't say aggressive, but strong into the society. So how you see these feelings? Did Sridhara Maharaj also share with you some directions on the institute?
Once I wrote an article, I can't remember now what it was called. Anyhow,
Standard up.
Huh?
The
No.
standard of human form of life?
No. Anyhow, I said, Sridhar Maharaj is the treasurer. He's the treasurer of devotion. And Srila Prabhupada is the plunderer of that treasure. And he plundered that treasure and distributed it throughout the world. I told something like that. Sridhar Maharaj liked that. He was very happy to hear that. Sridhar Maharaj was sat in his own place, pretty much treasuring all these gems of Vaishnava Siddhanta, all these precious gems of Vaishnava, relishing that. And of course, people who came to him, they would get a little bit of that distributed to them. But Prabhupada took all of that because he told that Sridhar Maharaj was, that's Bhakti Siddhanta, wanted Sridhar Maharaj to instruct him, to train him. He gave that credit to Sridhar Maharaj. And Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada wanted him to prepare me, he told, for his preaching mission. So we can understand that Srila Prabhupada got much. All of his gifts, all of his valuable realizations under the guidance of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And so he told us, just think what benefit you can have by going there. So I always saw Sridhar Maharaj something like that. The treasurer of the wealth of devotion. Bhakti Rakshak. And Prabhupada as a distributor, the plunderer of that wealth, and distributing it to others freely. So Sridhar Maharaj would not go out and preach so much. Prabhupada asked him many times, then you come out. You have such wonderful realizations. You come out and tell that to others. But Sridhar Maharaj was told that it was of a withdrawing nature, a private nature. He didn't like to go out so much like that to preach. He relished the different conceptions and thoughts and feelings that he had within himself. He was able to dive deep into that type of reality. And so Prabhupada was, like you said, more in the, what did you call Audarya? Audarya stage, Audarya mentality. Audarya means spreading. Audarya. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the later stages of his life was not going out and preaching so much as relishing different moods of separation with a very select number of devotees. But in his earlier age, he went out and preached. That is the Audarya mood of Navadvip. Vrindavan does not have that mood so much. There they are relishing pastimes, sweet pastimes of love within the groves of Vrindavan. Whereas in Navadvip, Mahaprabhu went out and he preached all over the country the message of love of God. Anyhow, something like that. Okay. Anything else? Like to add?
Can I say something, Maharaj?
What's that?
Like when we see the different pastimes of Lord in different ages, so he always came with the with his Like when Lord Ram came, he came with Lakshman, and when Krishna also comes with Baldevji, and Mahaprabhu comes with Nitai. So many times when Lakshman's activities are always like, like he's pretty strong. Like he went to the kingdom of the Sugriv, and he told all the monkeys, if you don't, all the Vanaras, that if you don't, I will kill all of you. So then they surrendered to him, and then they said, we are soon joining Lord Ram's, mission. So we always see Lakshman's activities are something of that nature. He was chastising Parshuram also in his previous time when Parshuram came to challenge Lord Ram, that why he broke the Haradhanu, the Shiva's bow. And similarly, in Balaram's pastimes, we see when some demons came, like for example, Dvividha, and so they were making some bad gestures towards the gopis. Then he killed them. Similarly, we find his actions are pretty strong. But in case of Krishna, we find the actions are more, like he's trying to reason. Even with Arjuna, he's reasoning him. And similarly in Mahaprabhu's thing, we find Mahaprabhu is always explaining that, don't take, Nitai's action to be, you must not think Nitai's actions are something, whatever condition he may be, but he is worshipable for all, like Brahma and Shiva, everybody will worship him, whatever condition. So it seems to me the activities of the Lord and his first expansion, or the particular incarnation who's acting as Guru. So there is always a kind of, dynamism between them. But it seems that the Lord is more soft and the Guru part is more, strong.
Yes, we find that with Krishna and Radharani as well. Radharani is very kind and gentle, and she's encouraging. If she sees someone who can serve Krishna better than her, she says, you go. She pushes you ahead. You go and serve Krishna. You can please him better than I can. She's very humble. And although she is the best servant, she is the one who brings the most joy to Krishna. So we can get the mercy of Srimati Radharani, Krishna's Shakti, Krishna's energy. And then we are very fortunate. We'll get a lot of help. And a very sweet help. That Radharani, what does that mean? We have to understand what is her sweet nature, her loving nature, her very humble nature, all these things. And when we can somehow or other get that blessing of those moods within us by her grace, and then we can become a member of her party, servant of the servant, dasu dasana das. As Mahaprabhu himself embodied that. He embodied that type of love of Radharani. When he said, Naham vipro na charamatir vaishana sudra, but I am the servant of the servant, dasu dasana das, of the gopis. What is that?
Gopi Kamalayor.
Oh yeah, Gopi Kamalayor, Dasu Dasana Das. So
Gopi Bhattu Kamalaya.
Yeah, so this is the mood of Mahaprabhu. Why he is considered Radharani in the mood of Radharani. He came in that mood. And if we can capture that by his grace, capture that mood, or we granted that type of feeling, then we are in a good position. Very nice. Anyhow, okay. My Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवार ज्योति श्रीला भक्ति माधव पुरी महाराज की जय और
जय।
सभी devotees की जय
Janmini Maharaj.
जय गुरुदेव
All of those की jai.
जय जय
My affectionate.